I spent weeks planning the perfect surprise party for my boyfriend. When he walked through the door, the surprise wasn't mine anymore. Before we begin, please like, subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. Let's all be internet friends. He said not to plan anything, so of course I did. Jason never made a big deal out of birthdays. He said they were just another day. No candles, no dinner reservations, no social media posts. Just gym, brunch, and maybe a beer with a few friends. But I knew better. He liked when people showed up for him, he just didn't know how to ask. He liked it quiet, sure, but he didn't like to be forgotten. So I planned something small. 30 people, his favorite food, streamers in the team colors of his fantasy football league. A cake that said leveling up in gold frosting. Thoughtful, warm, no flash, just love. Leela helped. She always did. We spent 2 weeks coordinating the guest list, tracking his habits, picking a Saturday he wouldn't suspect. I booked the space, ordered the food, even found the playlist he made but never shared, the one titled Driveway Summer Nights. That was our entrance music. He said not to plan anything. But love isn't about silence. It's about showing up even when you're told not to, and I showed up. Everywhere until the door opened. Love means surprise, not silence. That's how I was raised. That's how I love. It doesn't mean screaming feelings from rooftops or making a scene at a restaurant. It means noticing the songs he skips when he's sad, remembering he hates buttercream but loves whipped, knowing his friends by name, his coworkers by nickname, and his childhood dog by the way his voice softens when he talks about her. Jason said, "Don't do anything big." I heard, "Do something thoughtful." He'd been working long hours. Looked tired even when he smiled. He needed a reminder that people saw him not just for what he did, but for who he was. So I kept it simple, honest, warm, finger food he liked. A banner that read 1 year stronger, not older. Jason hated being reminded of time. Custom playlists. Photos clipped to twine hung over the bar. Inside jokes turned into tiny table cards. Just enough to say, "You matter. You are loved, you are not alone." And maybe I wanted to remind myself too, that I was capable of giving love that lasted. That effort still counted. So I planned a party, one that would change everything, just not the way I expected. Saturday mornings were predictable. That's what made them perfect. Jason always left at 9:10 sharp, gym bag in hand, headphones in, protein bar half unwrapped before he hit the elevator. He worked out, hit the juice bar across the street, then came home by 11:00 on the dot, always with 2 smoothies. Mango for him, matcha for me. Routine was his religion. Structure was safety. And that gave me exactly 90 minutes to set everything in motion. I rehearsed it with Leela twice. She'd text me when he walked out of the building. I'd call the guests. Lights off. Phones away. Music cued, cake in place. Champagne flutes pre-filled, just barely. Jason hated waste. The decorations were tucked in boxes in the hall closet. The catering trays were scheduled to arrive at 9:20, hot and perfect. The playlist, already looping in my headphones. Everything had a plan. The coffee table had a framed picture of us, taken 6 months ago at a lake house, with a tiny note under it. "You are loved, even when you pretend not to be." At 9:11, the building door buzzed. The first tray of food arrived. The surprise had begun. We just didn't know who it was really for. The plan was perfect. Every detail down to the second, down to the slice of avocado on the toast tray. I'd even double-checked the guest list at 7:00 a.m., not because I didn't trust myself, but because I wanted this to feel earned. By 9:25, the apartment started filling with soft laughter and whispers. Shoes off. Hugs exchanged. Jason's best friend Derek arrived with a six-pack and a goofy grin. My roommate Leela lit the candles. His coworkers came in twos, carrying balloons and inside jokes from conference calls. Jason's mom showed up with a peach cobbler because the cake will be too sweet, she said. She hugged me longer than usual. I'd kept the decorations low-key. Earth tones, no party store glitter. Just string lights, photos, and a wall sign that read, "Welcome to your favorite chapter yet." The cake was in the kitchen, hidden behind the island, chocolate raspberry, whipped frosting, gold lettering. Leveling up just like his playlist. By 10:45, every guest was in place. Jason would be home in 15 minutes. We practiced the timing once. Lights off. Everyone tucked low behind the couch or in the kitchen. Leela at the music cue, me by the door. I looked around one last time. Everything was ready. But nothing, absolutely nothing, was prepared for what came through that door. We practiced the timing. Once everyone was settled, I gave the signal, lights off, voices hushed, phones silenced. The whole room held its breath like we were backstage waiting for a curtain to rise. Jason would walk in, see me, see the room, and we'd shout surprise, just before the music hit. That was the plan. I stood by the front door, holding the party hat I picked for him, navy blue with a gold band, just enough to make him roll his eyes and laugh. His mom crouched behind the couch. Derek was by the kitchen counter, holding a confetti popper he'd insisted on bringing even though I told him no glitter. The room buzzed, excited, happy, and for a second I felt proud, not because I'd pulled it off, but because I knew Jason would feel loved, fully, undeniably loved. My phone vibrated, a text from Leela. He just walked in downstairs. I nodded to the room. Everyone went still. I reached for the doorknob, heart pounding in the best way. Then, we heard laughter, not ours, a woman's voice, then kissing. Close, intimate, muffled only slightly by the hallway. Someone behind me whispered, "Wait." I didn't move. I stood there, frozen, party hat in hand, listening to him laugh like I didn't exist. The key turned in the lock, and suddenly it was his surprise. The door opened and she walked in first, not one of his friends. Not someone I'd ever met, not anyone on the guest list. She was barefoot, hair slightly messy, lipstick smudged. Jason's shirt, my boyfriend's shirt, hung loosely off her shoulders, half-buttoned, familiar, the one I'd ironed for him last week. Her hand was in his, their heads were down, still laughing. It took them a second to realize they weren't alone. Because at first, all they saw was each other, and then she looked up and froze. Jason didn't look up right away. He was saying something low, something flirty. Then his eyes caught the movement. The dim outlines of 30 people standing silent in the shadows. Then he saw me, standing by the door, party hat still in hand, lights still off. Mouth closed, not smiling, not crying, just still. He didn't say my name, didn't say anything. The room didn't explode. It didn't need to, because some betrayals don't need sound to be heard. "Sir." The word died in someone's throat. Maybe Derek's, maybe mine. The lights flipped on at the exact wrong time, right as Jason and the woman behind him stepped fully into the room, blinking against the brightness, caught in the glow of everything I'd built. Confetti popped. One streamer fell too early, and 30 people stood frozen in place, halfway between joy and disbelief. Jason's smile vanished. The woman gasped, a hand flying to her face like it could somehow rewind the last 60 seconds. Jason's eyes locked on mine, then the cake, then his mother. He looked like he wanted to speak. But what do you say when this is how your surprise party ends? He hadn't let go of her hand yet. That was the worst part. I stood at the center of the storm, hat in one hand, dignity in the other. And even then, even in that exact moment, part of me was still worried someone would trip over the power cord to the speaker. Because that's what love had made me. Prepared, hopeful, careful. He wasn't any of those things. And now, everyone knew. No one knew what to do. 30 people standing in my living room, holding drinks and party favors, and not one of them moved. Derek's mouth was slightly open, eyes darting from Jason to me like he was waiting for a script to follow. Leela stepped toward me, then stopped. Jason's mother turned her head not away from me, but from him. Her hand went to her chest like something cracked open beneath it. One of his coworkers near the back muttered, "Jesus Christ." Another fumbled with their phone, accidentally hitting play on the music that was supposed to cue the surprise. It played half a beat of Jason's favorite song, then stopped. The woman next to him whispered, "Oh my God," like she wasn't fully sure what she'd just walked into. Jason finally let go of her hand. Too late, way too late. He took a step toward me, opened his mouth, and I stepped back, just once, just enough. No words, no tears, just stillness. And in that silence, I could feel everything shift. The warmth, the trust. The version of our story I thought I was still living in. Gone. And the whole room, every stunned, uncomfortable, party hat-wearing person felt it too. I walked forward, not fast, not dramatic, just enough to cut the air between us. The hat was still in my hand, the little gold band now smudged where I'd gripped it too tightly. I didn't look at him. Not really. Just enough to know I never needed to look again. The woman, she stepped back, almost behind him now, like she could disappear if she became smaller than the moment. Jason started to speak. I raised my hand. He stopped. I didn't owe him my pain. I didn't owe him my voice. So I walked past him, past her, past the cake and the twinkling lights and the table full of inside jokes turned artifacts. I reached the door, opened it wide, and I left, no speech, no slam, no shout. Just one long, echoing silence that said everything he'd never cared to learn about me. I heard someone, maybe Leela, call after me. I didn't turn, because sometimes the loudest thing you can do is leave quietly. The door stayed open. So did the phones. I didn't look back, but I didn't have to. The sound behind me told the rest of the story. Footsteps, murmurs, a chair scraping against hardwood, the unmistakable click of someone hitting record. Jason didn't follow. At least not right away, someone else did. A voice, Derek's maybe, called my name once. Not to stop me, just to acknowledge what happened. To say we saw it. You were right. I kept walking. The air outside was colder than I expected. I didn't bring a coat. Didn't bring my phone. Just me, a breath I hadn't realized I was holding, and a city that didn't care what I just walked away from. Inside, the party unraveled. Leela would tell me later, people left in groups. Some stayed. A few cried. One woman, a coworker of Jason's, had the nerve to ask if the party was still happening. But the real moment didn't happen in real time. It happened hours later, when phones lit up and screens scrolled, when strangers started typing, when the internet did what it always does. Because betrayal in private is one thing. But when you wrap it in cake and decorations and 30 witnesses, it becomes something else entirely. I slept at Leela's that night. Not because I was heartbroken, because I didn't want to be anywhere he might show up. Leela handed me sweats and a blanket, made tea, didn't ask questions. She knew the version of quiet I needed, not the let's talk about it kind, just the kind that holds space without pressure. I sat on her couch, still in the dress I'd picked out for the party. The hem wrinkled. One sequin missing near the sleeve. I didn't care. The cake sat in a box in her fridge. She'd brought it when she left the apartment, said it felt wrong to leave it behind. Around midnight, I opened it. Flawless white frosting. Clean, gold lettering leveling up. I stared at it for a long time, then cut a slice. Took a bite. Chewed slowly. I didn't even get to cut it, I said, voice soft, like I was talking about a canceled meeting or a movie that never premiered. Leela sat beside me, didn't say a word. We finished the slice in silence. And for the first time that night, I felt something I hadn't expected to feel. Peace. By midnight, it was everywhere. I didn't post it. I didn't film it. I didn't even know who did. But someone had been holding their phone when the door opened. Someone had pressed record at the exact moment the woman walked in, barefoot and smudged, hand in hand with a man who was supposed to be mine. The clip wasn't long. 15 seconds. Just enough to see her face, then his, then mine. The caption read, POV, you're at a surprise party, but not the one she planned. Hashtag party gone wrong. It spread like spilled wine on a white couch, first to the group chat, then to TikTok, then Twitter, then everywhere. People guessed who I was, speculated about the girl, zoomed in on Jason's reaction like it was some kind of case study in guilt. I didn't read the comments, but Leela did, and she showed me the ones that mattered. She deserves better. I hope she left with the cake. Plot twist, she's the CEO of his next regret. By 3 a.m., someone had tagged Jason's employer. By 6, it was in a meme. By 9, his name was trending, and not for the right reasons. I didn't say a word, I didn't have to. The world had already taken the mic. His boss saw it. So did mine. By noon, I had 3 unread emails flagged urgent. 2 from HR. 1 from someone in communications asking for a quick chat. Jason had it worse. His company went silent at first, then not so silent. Someone leaked a message meant for internal teams, confirming he'd been asked to take an indefinite leave pending review. Whatever that meant. Mine was messier. No one said I'd done anything wrong, but my team was small, tight-knit. Too many whispers, Too many people asking if I was okay without actually wanting the truth. The official line? This isn't about the video, but we think some time off could be good for you. They called it a restructure. I called it something else, fallout. Still, I didn't panic. I didn't reply to the headlines, didn't engage the threads, didn't retweet the people calling me brave or tragic or the symbol of modern heartbreak. Because I wasn't a story. I was a person, and I knew something no one online did. What came next? It wasn't revenge, it was reclaiming. I never posted anything. Never needed to. The internet ran ahead like it always does, dissecting, dragging, deciding what happened based on 15 seconds and a caption. But I never added to it, never even hinted that it was me. And still, it grew. People figured it out on their own. A coworker's cousin confirmed my name. Someone found a tagged photo from last month and traced it to a birthday post. They made timelines, pulled receipts. A few accounts even dug into Jason's past. There were whispers from other women, DMs leaked, screenshots shared. Turns out I wasn't the first, and definitely not the only one. Somewhere in the noise, the story stopped being about a surprise party. It became a case study in choosing peace over performance, in knowing when to walk away and letting the silence speak for you. I scrolled through the comments some nights, not to relive it, but to remember what I didn't have to explain. The world had done the math, had made the calls, had looked at the video and said she didn't lose anything that day. She got free. He tried to call 17 times. Back to back at first, the frantic kind of calling that doesn't come from clarity, just panic. Then more spaced out, like he was hoping I'd cool down, hoping time would rewind. Voicemails, too. His voice cracked in the first one, angry in the second, apologetic in the third. It wasn't what it looked like. She didn't mean anything. You could have just asked. We were going through a rough patch. I never stopped loving you. That one made me laugh. Quietly, the kind of laugh that comes from seeing the punchline too late. I didn't block him, not because I was holding on, but because I wanted him to know his words had a place to land, and they landed in silence. That silence. It wasn't avoidance, it was the answer. Letting the calls go to voicemail was my version of I know who you are now, and that was louder than any screaming match ever could have been. Even his mother reached out, not with excuses, not with spin. Just sorrow. She sent a message the old-fashioned way, handwritten, on pale blue stationery, like the ones she used for birthday cards. It arrived folded neatly inside a plain white envelope, no return address, just my name. Inside, 5 sentences. You deserved better. I'm sorry my son forgot that. I don't know what he thought he was doing, but I know what you were trying to do, and it was beautiful. I read it twice, then once more, just to be sure she meant every word. It didn't fix anything, but it reached something in me I hadn't realized was still sore, the place where his family used to feel like mine. I sent her a message back. Short. Thank you, I know you didn't raise him for this. And that was it. No more contact. No updates. Just 2 women on opposite ends of a wreckage exchanging one moment of quiet understanding. Because sometimes, the people who aren't yours anymore still know how to say what the ones closest to you never could. The other woman deleted her accounts. Instagram gone, Twitter locked, then vanished. LinkedIn. A polite, this profile is no longer available. She tried for a moment to put something out, a statement on Instagram stories. White text on a gray background. Something like, you don't know the full story. Please stop sending threats. But the world doesn't pause for nuance. Not when the video is that clear. Not when the lipstick is that smeared. Not when 30 people, coworkers, friends, his own mother, stood right there and watched it happen. Her attempt to shift the blame didn't land, didn't even make a ripple. People weren't interested in her version. They were already invested in mine, the one I never even told. That's the thing about truth when you let it stand still. It becomes undeniable. She disappeared before I could say anything, before I ever got the chance to ask why. But I realized I didn't care. She'd been a guest in my story, one who let herself in. And now she was gone, just like him. The cake box is still in my freezer, tucked behind a bag of frozen berries and a tray of Leela's emergency dumplings. Top shelf, wrapped tight, untouched. Every now and then I open the door and see it sitting there, white cardboard, gold trim, a little smudge where the corner got bent in the chaos. Leveling up, I used to think I'd throw it away. That one night I'd be angry or brave or drunk enough to pull it out, let it thaw, and watch it collapse in the sink like everything else did that day. But I never did. Not because I wanted to keep it, but because it's not just cake anymore. It's proof that I planned something beautiful, that I loved without holding back, that I built something thoughtful and none of it was wasted, even if he never deserved it. Sometimes when I can't sleep, I open the freezer, look at it, and just breathe. Because I didn't ruin that party. He did, and that box, it's not a wound, it's a record. She hasn't touched it. Tucked behind a bag of frozen berries and a tray of Leela's emergency dumplings. Top shelf, wrapped tight, untouched. Every now and then I open the door and see it sitting there, white cardboard, gold trim, a little smudge where the corner got bent in the chaos. Leveling up, I used to think I'd throw it away. That one night I'd be angry or brave or drunk enough to pull it out, let it thaw, and watch it collapse in the sink like everything else did that day. But I never did. Not because I wanted to keep it, but because it's not just cake anymore. It's proof that I planned something beautiful, that I loved without holding back, that I built something thoughtful and none of it was wasted, even if he never deserved it. Sometimes when I can't sleep, I open the freezer, look at it, and just breathe. Because I didn't ruin that party. He did, and that box, it's not a wound, it's a record. Sometimes silence is louder than screaming. People expected rage. A scene, headlines with broken dishes and shattered windows. Maybe even a messy live stream where I aired it all out in real time. But that's not who I am. I didn't scream in the moment. Didn't curse at the door. Didn't drop a single post to drag his name. I let the truth walk in before I ever had to, and then I let it speak for itself. Now I walk into places differently. Like this morning, a quiet cafe on 6th. The barista complimented my shirt. Noticed the tiny embroidery near the hem. "That's really cool," he said. I smiled, not because I was trying to seem okay, but because I was no spotlight, no followers. Just the smell of espresso, the hum of morning, and a new kind of peace, the kind that doesn't need to be earned or explained. I'm not rebuilding from a break. I'm walking forward from clarity. Because when people show you exactly who they are, and the world watches them do it, you don't need revenge, you just need the strength to keep going. And I have that now. Thank you for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I love you all.